Machiavellianism has a branding problem. Online, it's presented as cruelty. Cold stares, villain quotes, power fantasies. But psychology doesn't describe it that way. In fact, most Machiavellian people don't look dangerous at all. They don't shout. They don't dominate rooms. They don't announce intentions. They follow rules better than most people. They listen carefully. They wait. And that's why the TikTok version is misleading. Because Machiavellianism isn't about being evil. It's about understanding how people move and positioning yourself accordingly. And once you understand what it really is, you'll realize you've probably worked with it. You may have benefited from it, and you may have mistaken it for competence. Because in many systems, it is. The internet has turned Machiavellianism into an aesthetic. Dark backgrounds, Sigma grindset music, quotes about power. It gets compressed into a feeling. Ruthlessness, manipulation, villain energy. And it spreads because it looks good in a 30-second clip. It flatters the viewer. It suggests that if you understand this, you're already playing the game. But psychology doesn't work that way. Psychology doesn't describe personalities by how cinematic they look. It describes them by how they consistently behave. And when you strip away the editing, the music, the aesthetic packaging, what remains isn't villainy. It's something quieter, more deliberate, and far more common than the internet wants you to believe. Most people who score high on Machiavellianism are not seen as dangerous, they're seen as reliable. Machiavellianism is part of what psychologists call the dark triad, alongside narcissism and psychopathy. But it's distinct. It's defined by 3 core traits: strategic thinking over emotional reaction, emotional detachment in relationships, an instrumental view of other people. Instrumental means seeing people as means, not ends, as variables in an equation you're trying to solve. But here's what it's not. It's not psychopathy. There's no thrill in harm. It's not sadism. There's no pleasure in cruelty. It's not constant deception. Lying is a tool, not a compulsion. Machiavellianism is long-term social strategy. It asks, what holds over time? Not what feels right. Not what seems fair. What works? Machiavellian thinkers don't see people the way most people do. They see variables, incentives, constraints. Every person is a pattern of behavior shaped by circumstances. And if you understand the circumstances, you can predict the behavior. Their emotional profile is different too. Low emotional reactivity, high situational awareness. They don't get swept up. They don't lose themselves in the moment. They watch. And their decision-making reflects this. Delay over impulse. Positioning over confrontation. They don't fight battles. They don't need to win. They don't make enemies unless it serves a purpose. They ask a different question than most people. Not what feels right, but what holds over time. And that shift, that single reframing, changes everything. You've seen this in the workplace. The manager who never commits to a position publicly, who listens in meetings, nods, asks clarifying questions, but never declares allegiance. When restructuring happens, they're still there, not because they played dirty, because they never positioned themselves as a target. The colleague who somehow always survives layoffs. Not the loudest performer, not the most visible, but always just useful enough, always just connected enough. You see it in politics, not in the candidates, in the advisors, the ones who don't speak at rallies, who don't have public personas, who shape strategy in private and let others take credit or blame. You see it in social groups. The quiet organizer, the one who doesn't lead from the front, but who controls information flow, who knows who's frustrated, who's ambitious, who's vulnerable, and uses that knowledge to position themselves as indispensable. This isn't villainy. It's uncomfortably familiar. And if you've never noticed this pattern, it's usually because it hasn't worked against you yet. Modern systems reward emotional control. They reward strategic patience. They reward ambiguity. Institutions don't favor morality. They favor predictability. Machiavellian traits align perfectly with bureaucratic logic. Don't make waves. Don't create liability. Don't make yourself a problem. Navigate the structure, not the principle. The person who can delay gratification, manage appearances, and avoid emotional exposure, that person thrives. Not because they're breaking the system, because they understand it. Machiavellianism doesn't break systems. It adapts perfectly to them. Here's what people get wrong. They think the danger is cruelty, but cruelty requires intent. The real danger is moral neutrality. Harm emerges without anyone feeling responsible. Decisions get made. People get hurt. But no one decided to hurt them. It was just the logical outcome. The most effective power rarely feels personal. It feels systemic, procedural, inevitable. And that's far harder to resist than a visible enemy. Machiavellianism isn't a personality you choose. It's a response to a frame. When outcomes matter more than intentions. When responsibility is diffused across structures. When visibility is risk and ambiguity is safety. You're not seeing monsters. You're seeing people optimized for the frame they're in. And once you understand that, the question isn't, how do I avoid them? It's, what frame am I participating in without noticing? Understanding Machiavellianism doesn't make you powerful. It makes you aware of the rules people are already playing by. And once you see that, you start noticing how quietly the game is being played.